Hello and welcome to the Candid Cashflow podcast, episode 52. I'm your host, Ava Fales. Good day, Cashflow Nation. How are we doing this week? Is it your last full week of work this year? I wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Now let's talk about building your author platform. It certainly doesn't have to be centered around authors. I work mostly with authors and publishers in my virtual assistant business, and so I don't think there's enough emphasis on encouraging other authors to establish their author platform. So what is this platform that I speak of? Well, it can be made up of many elements, including your social media presence, as well as your author pages or your podcast pages, or really just whatever you're into. Your platform entails the entirety of your online web presence. I suppose that offline things can be a platform as well, but we'll stick to our focus concentrating on the web. If you'd like to learn about building a good author platform and how to get started, then you know what to do. Stay tuned.
If you're ready to invest some time into learning almost anything, check out Skillshare. They offer a wide variety of courses to help you with things like WordPress, social media, and self-publishing. If that's not what you're into, then they probably have a course on a topic that does interest you. Check them out and try some of their free courses to start. Visit heyoava.com/Skillshare.
So why do indie authors need a platform? In traditional publishing, your publisher and agent handle most of your platform for you. They're in charge of marketing and selling your books, as well as furthering your reach as an author. As an independent author and self-publisher, all of that responsibility falls on you. So expanding your presence on the web as wide as possible will help you in that endeavor. Your readership will look for you online, especially on social media. You want to be visible in the places where your readers hang out online, because that is also the catalyst for gaining new readers. The strength of your platform will dictate your sales. So what are the elements of a good author platform? Well, you don't want to overwhelm yourself trying to do everything at once. You most likely already have a social media presence, so why not start optimizing those accounts to be the beginnings of your platform? At a minimum, I suggest having a Facebook page, not a profile, and a Twitter account. That goes for any business online, not just authors. After Google and YouTube, Facebook is the next largest audience online. I suggest creating a page rather than using your personal profile. If you're not on Facebook yet, understand that you will have to create a profile before you can build your author page. Pages cannot stand alone on Facebook. They must have an owner. It's quite easy to make a page. Just click Create next to your home button at the top of your Facebook account and select Page. Facebook will walk you through setting up your new page, so it's super easy. As for Twitter, I know a lot of people balk at the mention of this network. Why? Because I just don't think they understand how to use Twitter. I know I didn't when I first began using it. However, it can be an important element for authors. It is considered to be a micro-blogging platform. When it first started, users were limited to 180 characters to express their thought, link, quote, or whatever they were sharing. As a result of that limitation, lots of third-party sites arrived on the scene, like link shorteners and picture hosts. Twitter didn't have a native image feature at that time. All that came later, along with the new 240 character limit. I've been on Twitter since January of 2008, and I actually love the little network. I think it has so much potential, especially for authors. The limited post length can really show off your skills to convey messages using as few words as possible. Twitter is also the perfect place to share quotes, even from your own books, links, messages, and so much more. Tie everything together with just the right hashtag and boom, perfection. I cover Twitter in a much more detail in episode 28 of the Candid Cashflow podcast. I sincerely encourage you to check out that episode. I also shared a free ebook that shows you how to pretty much put your Twitter account on autopilot, even if you don't know what to tweet. Be sure to grab the show notes for links to that and more at heyoava.com/episode 52. A good author platform includes a website, a few social media profiles done well. Once you have this mastered, then you can consider expanding your reach. So where in the world do you start? We sort of covered this already, but start right where you are. A good number of people already have Facebook. If that's you, start there. Create your author page and invite your friends to check it out and give you a like. That alone will build you a fledgling audience. If you can engage your tribe on Facebook with your offering as an author, you'll have it made. This is something that I majorly struggled with. It seemed like no one cared about my books or what I was saying about writing until I did this one thing. I started doing sessions on Facebook where I would ask my audience to give me a word and I'd write a poem or maybe 100 words short story for them based on a word or phrase they gave me. This was something they could easily share on their own Facebook pages, and they just loved it. I've had people come back to me years later and ask me to help them find the piece I wrote for them because they lost it. Luckily, Facebook saves everything and you can even download it and all that. I even built an email list from my Facebook friends and family that I would send advance free copies of my book in exchange for honest reviews. I figured I could sell my books to strangers, so why not give them to my friends and family? It works okay. It's not necessarily something I would recommend for everyone. Once you've built a presence where you are, then you can consider expanding. Don't wait on building a website. I know this can be scary for some, especially when you're technically challenged, but it's easier now than it's ever been. So choosing a platform for your website. I'm a die-hard WordPress fangirl, and I'll discuss why in a few minutes. But honestly, WordPress has a steep learning curve. However, if you have experience with other blogging platforms, that should give you a leg up. Before WordPress, I used LiveJournal and Blogger, so when I switched to WordPress, I didn't have much difficulty figuring it out. It's a well-documented platform, and Google search holds pretty much every answer you seek regarding WordPress. That being said, I'm starting to realize that WordPress isn't for everyone. The main point here is to have a website. Do you really need one? Yes. Why? Because you need a central hub for your business to live online. Amazon is not it. When people buy your products from Amazon, they are an Amazon customer. Unless you capture their contact information somehow, it's possible that you'll never see them again. Sure, you can do this by including links in your books to your email opt-in form without ever having a website, but then what? Absolutely include an opt-in in your book. But if that opt-in doesn't link to your website, then you should have your website link right there beside it. If Amazon banned you tomorrow, where would your readers find you? If you have one on your website, you can even sell your books directly from your own website in addition to Amazon. So when you're ready to create your website, choose the platform that is least overwhelming to you. How will you know what that is? Research. I suggest checking out some YouTube videos that show the back ends of these platforms and kind of give you an idea of how they work. Check out Wix.com for sure, heyoava.com/Wix. It's one of the more user-friendly platforms out there for creating websites. The caveat with things like Wix is that you never quite own your website. They do, so it's always possible they could remove it without notice. That's why I like WordPress. It's mine, and no one can tell me what I can put on it. And if it gets deleted, that's going to be due to a user error on my own part. So do your due diligence. Play around with some of these platforms. Wix is free to start, and you can kind of get a feel for their interface. WordPress has a free option at wordpress.com. It's a lot different from self-hosted WordPress, but you can get an idea of how WordPress looks. Just to clarify, WordPress has two products. WordPress.com is a platform where you can create a free blog as a subdomain of WordPress.com, so it would be like your blog.wordpress.com. You can use your own domain as well, but WordPress.com has a limited functionality compared to WordPress.org or self-hosted WordPress. And they also don't allow affiliate links, so monetizing a blog on WordPress.com is quite difficult. WordPress.org is the home of the open source software that powers self-hosted WordPress websites. It's completely free to download and use, and you'll also find the WordPress Codex, which is the extensive documentation of the platform, the WordPress plugin library, the theme library, and more all reside there at WordPress.org. So why am I so adamant about WordPress? It's simply the best. You can do anything with it. WordPress powers 30% of the top 10 million websites online. That speaks for itself, but let's go further. WordPress is free and open source. You'll need a domain and hosting to use it, but these things can both be obtained cheaply. I'll talk more about the cost of running a WordPress site later in the show. You can create either a static website or a robust blog with WordPress. Its customization and functionality are extended to infinity and beyond through an extensive library of plugins, many of which are free. I have built WordPress sites that handle e-commerce, memberships, podcasts, videos, forums, and more, and sometimes all on the same website. If you can imagine it, you can accomplish it with WordPress. So is it hard to learn? Yes, no, I don't know. It's been a long time since I started with WordPress, and it was a lot different when I first started. I'd venture to say harder to use back then. If you wanted to add a theme or plugin, you actually had to install it via FTP, which is File Transfer Protocol, and it's logging into the server side of things from using a client software. It's kind of complicated. Now all of that is built right into the WordPress dashboard. You can install plugins and themes right direct from the interface. I think if you've never used any kind of blogging platform before, then WordPress will be very overwhelming. However, if you have used WordPress.com or Blogger, things will be more familiar to you. For the Cashflow Nation, I actually have an extensive tutorial that I wrote on learning WordPress. It's called, Learn WordPress. That will be available to you exclusively free in the show notes at heyoava.com/episode 52. It's more than 130 pages of instructions and screenshots that take you step by step through WordPress's dashboard. There will also be an episode of the Candid Cashflow podcast coming soon with more specifics on getting started with WordPress. So now is the time to subscribe. Find us in your favorite listening app at heyoava.com/candidcashflow. I'll be updating that guide to include the latest information regarding the new Gutenberg editor in WordPress, which is quite possibly the biggest change to the platform since it was launched. So how can you get started with WordPress? The first steps are to buy a domain and hosting where your website will call home. Most web hosts these days include free one-click installs for WordPress, which makes it super easy to have a WordPress site within seconds of initiating the setup. I recommend HostGator for hosting. You can check them out at heyoava.com/HostGator. Have you ever noticed like how web hosts are like cable and internet providers? It's hard to figure out which one is the best because of the cacophony of good and bad reviews that seem to cancel each other out online. So just to let you know, like a little insight, I chose HostGator because of the host my clients use. It was the fastest and easiest to deal with. So how much does all of this cost? Hosting all of my websites, which is a few of my own and several for clients, it cost me about $203 per year. My domain cost me about $12 per year. So for less than $220 per year, I have a website that is the central hub of everything I do online. I can pretty much take it any direction that I want. I can sell products. I can promote my books, anything that I want. If you can afford to pay upfront for a year of hosting, it gets even cheaper than that. Making sure that you have an author platform is really a no-brainer. With it, you have a place on the World Wide Web trumpeting about who you are and what you do even while you sleep. That's it for this episode of the Candid Cashflow podcast. If you have any questions about WordPress, hit me up at heyoava.com/soundoff and ask them. I'm here to answer. My passion is to help you, author or not, build a platform online that can be a central hub of you becoming financially free. I don't have anything to sell you. What I have is information to fuel your journey. Please consider subscribing to the Candid Cashflow podcast because next week I sit down with Dale L. Roberts of Self-Publishing with Dale. If you're looking for the leader in providing you with the latest about self-publishing, then you won't want to miss that show. Grab your copy of the show notes at heyoava.com/episode 52 so you get all the links and goodies. I just released the latest ebook containing all the show notes, including bonuses for episodes 41 through 50, and the link will be included in the show notes. Don't forget, I release a new episode each Wednesday. Until next time, turning your passion into cash flow.